Shalom and welcome to this evening's Torah class. Tonight we're going to study the Torah Parashat, Vayigash, that's Genesis chapter 44, starting at verse 18 through chapter 47, verse 27. We're delighted that you're joining with us, and even tonight, as you may know, is the last night of Hanukkah. And so we're going to celebrate the final night mañana, that is tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. And if you're in the area, give us a call at 512-452-8700 if you'd like to experience what Hanukkah is about and how Yeshua, that's as you may in English translated is Jesus, is okay, I'm sorry. Well, many things are to be taught about Hanukkah, so hopefully you can join us tomorrow. And we also have upcoming Shabbat, beginning with our 10 a.m. Bible Issues class and our 11 a.m. main service. So, our broadcast for tonight will begin here shortly. Please stand by.
Well, shalom and good Tuesday evening to you. Well, Yom, let's see. Let's see. I guess this is probably this is the third day of the week, trying to avoid the pagan gods' names.
Oh, yeah.
So this will be Yom Shalishi, I believe. Anyway, something like that. We'll try that again another day when my brain is more well connected. Well, it's a wonderful day to study the Torah, and we're going to do that. So that before we begin, let's stand for a word of prayer. Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, our Father who is in the heavens, we honor you this evening with your Torah, coming together for the purpose of studying and learning so that we can give to others. So I ask you to be with us here tonight. Open up your word to us. Take us deeper than we've ever gone before and help us to be able to see all of the wonderful things that are going on in the Torah as we study. So I'm going to ask everybody to just pray with me. You watching online, you pray with us here at the house. Lord, I'm hungry.
Lord, I'm hungry.
I ask you to feed me.
I ask you to feed me.
And I'm thirsty, Lord.
And I'm thirsty, Lord.
I ask you to give me living water.
I ask you to give me living water.
Wash me inside and out.
Wash me inside and out.
And give me enough water to give to others.
And give me enough water to give to others.
In the name of Yeshua the Messiah.
In the name of Yeshua Messiah.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, you can be seated. I guess I went down below the view of the cam. Hey, he disappeared. Where did he go? Is he canceling the class tonight? I don't think so. Anyway.
Right.
Sure.
Hold it.
Now we're in a wild and crazy mood tonight. Anyway. You should have been here for our Hanukkah party. Oh, last Tuesday night we had a blast. Everybody was laughing and having a good time. And we got to light the first lights of Hanukkah and did some teaching and had some latkes and just had a wonderful time. So maybe sometime you can plan to come in and join with us for Hanukkah. Tonight's Torah Parashat is found in Genesis chapter 44, verse 18. That's where it begins. And it starts off Vayigash. And Vayigash means to draw near or to come near to someone or something. Now, Yigash is the root. I want to talk to you a little bit about the things that are going on here in this. So, the root is Yud, Gimel, Shin. And that's, let's just open up the dictionary here. Nagash is the root, and it means to bring near or to come near, to come to know a little more familiarly, can mean to worship. So anyway, we're talking about Judah coming to this time. And it says Vayigash. Okay, I was gonna do that. Excuse me, just one moment here. Vayigash then is the verb, and Yud Gimel Shin is the root, the shorish. If you notice the Yud, the first Yud has a dagish in the middle of the Yud. You see it at the top line here. Let me see if I can get my. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna bring up my drawing pen so I can show you a couple of things here.
Hang on.
And I'll get my pen out so it'll hopefully give me a little better opportunity to draw some things. Okay. We see that the yud has a decimal point in it here. That little point there is like a period in the middle of the letter yud. That has some significance for us. It tells us that we are, first of all, supposed to double the pronunciation of the yud. So it's going to be written out as though it says Vayigash. Okay, so you would pronounce it Vai with the yud on the end of it, changes it from Va to Vai. And then Yigash would be the root, starting from right there over to here. Okay, so I'm going to have to get rid of some of this clutter on the screen. So we'll just get rid of all that, and we'll try that again. And so okay, so Va, oops, let me get back over here again and select this pointer, the pencil, and now we'll try it again. Okay, so this dagesh point, which is in this letter yud here, and you're not seeing it on the screen. Let me see if I can bring it up a little. Okay, go ahead and do that. Okay, so that red arrow is pointing at the yud, and it's got that, looks like a period in the middle of the yud, and that's the dagesh point. And so the root would be Yigash, and that's why we have to double the yud, double the pronunciation of it. So the first time the yud is pronounced is when you say Vai. So you put the yud, the first yud goes with the patak, changes it from an ah sound to a I sound. Vai. Vai. And then the next time you pronounce the yud, it's going to have the E sound will be pronounced with it. So that will be Vayigash. Okay? So this decimal point here is, this dagesh point in the middle is pretty important to us. So it's understanding the nature of the letters is kind of fun here in this one too. And it's like there's a yud with a gimel and a shin. What is gimel? Does anybody remember? Camel. Very good. Somebody's paying attention to my classes. Hallelujah. We've done some good here. So we see that that the letter yud here is riding a camel to come to worship. Shin is a type of a letter that indicates worship. And so he comes before his younger brother, Yosef, and he prostrates himself on the ground. And it says that several times in this story. And so when we have this, let's just take a look at now the roots. And I'll go back over here and tell it to close off that drawing pen again. And it's Vayigash, then it means literally, and he, Yahweh, Evidently, he rode a camel and he come to worship. Well, Yahweh doesn't worship anybody, but you know what I'm saying. It's a worshipful situation. And it says, Vayigash elav. Elav literally means unto him. To him. And then Yehuda's who's coming. He's the one who's coming for that purpose. And he said, Yes, I know. I got a lot of things going on here. All right. I'll get her there. Don't worry. He says, oh, my Lord, Adonai. Are y'all following that? Well, just keep on keeping on with me here, and we'll keep rolling. Yedaber, he said, please, which is a petition. Avdeka. So pay attention, please, to your servant. A word, ba'aznei, in the ears of my Lord. He's seeking a private counsel with Joseph. He's wanting to be separated from his brothers and from the rest of the world so that he can just talk privately with Joseph. I'll get there, just hang on. And he says, and not yichard. Yichar means to become heated in anger. Afacha, your anger. Don't become heated in your anger. But avdecha, in your servant, against your servant. Because, and now I'm going to have to go back to the full scale situation here. Go back to full screen. Now it says, because Kamoka, you are like Kifero, you are like unto Pharaoh. He realizes that as Egyptians are concerned, they would consider him nothing, that he's not anything to be reconciled with. And in verse 20, Vanomer, and we said, now he's talking about what we did in the past. The nomer is telling us that this is the plural first person, which would be we said. And it's completed form. Because the pronoun is at the beginning of the word, I've highlighted the pronoun for you there. It's at the beginning of the word, and so the Vav conversi would then reset the time frame of this happening to a completed action. So, and we said unto my Lord, Yesh lanu, we have of a father, Zakan, in his elderly, Vayeled, and a child, Zakunim, of his old age, Ketan, a little one, V'achiv, and his brother, Mat, his brother is dead. Who would he be talking about there? Yosef, but he doesn't know he's talking to Joseph. No. And he is left alone. Libado means literally by himself. Of his mother and his father, Ahava, and of his mother, and his father loves him. Ahavo. Ohev means to love, and Ahavo would be have the pronoun him attached to the end of the word. Okay, so now we come to verse 21. But Tomer, and you said, and again we're saying this is what you said in the past, remembering these rules about the Vav conversi, And the pronoun at the beginning makes it an incompleted form, but the vav makes it a completed form. So, and you said unto Avadekah, your servant, Horiduho, Horiduho. Okay, now, Yared means literally to go down. A lot of times we see Moses up on the mountain and it says Yared, he went down. Yes, sir?
Just because I'm having a hard time seeing it, what are each one of those letters, please?
Just a second, I'll bring it up for you. Now can you see it?
No.
Well, not quite. Can you help him? Somebody help the boy. How about that?
Okay.
Now can you see it?
Yeah.
Now you see it? Now you don't.
Different letters, not the same letter. Actually, there's two letters the same. And
Now in the shoresh, or the root, this first letter is a yud, yared. He went down. But it's a vav, so let's go back now and get this back where it needs to be so we can get to the whole page.
That's a good size right there.
I may just go ahead and bring the size up a little bit. I don't know. Let's see. And you said unto your servant, Horiduhu, and this is where the anonymous Joseph is listening, and he's speaking to Judah. Get a little confusing if you don't figure these roles out and keep them straight. But anyway, to your servants, to bring him down, in other words, to Egypt. Because Egypt was down from where they would have been. And unto me. And Ashima, that I may set Aini, my eyes alive on him. So he's saying, I want to see this boy personally to confirm that you are who you say you are, and that you really do have a brother that's back home and a father, and that things are as you state. And so he's holding them in suspense because they don't know that this is Joseph.
I thought Benjamin was born while Joseph was young.
I'm sorry?
Wasn't just Benjamin born? I thought Benjamin had been born when Joseph was young.
He was.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah, but he knew that they had a brother named Benjamin.
Oh, okay. So
But he's giving them a hard time.
Right.
And he's really impressing it on them that he has the authority, the right, the power, the ability to terminate their lives if they don't cooperate with him.
Right.
And so now they're in extreme fear, and they're falling all over themselves to honor him and to worship him, to show proper respect towards his authority and power.
Yeah.
So keep in mind that Joseph is not speaking on behalf of Joseph here, but he's actually speaking on behalf of the Egyptian government. So he's not doing anything for himself in this story. And that's one of the factors. Another factor is that he is speaking to family, and he does have something to straighten out with them. Yeah. And he's optimizing all of the circumstances to make the best use of it. And I think it's brilliant what he did. So he said, my Lord, let me get this down a little further here. Well, I thought I had reduced it. There it is. Now I'll get the options and I'll increase it just a little bit so we can see it a little more clearly when I'm pointing things out to you. Okay. So he says, we said, No more, we said unto my Lord, lo, you call, we cannot, Na'ar, Hana'ar, the lad, La'avzov, to leave his father, Aviv, his father. He can't leave. Va'azav, for if he should leave his father, he would die. His father would die. But Tomer, and you said, again, it's past tense. I want you to let this kind of burn these verbs the way they work into your brain so that when you see the pronoun at the beginning of a verb, said is a verb, okay? Mm-hmm. This is all verb. And they put the pronoun at the beginning, and that means it's incomplete. It means it will happen. But by putting the vav in front again, it says it's already happened. So you did already say unto your servants, im lo, if not, yared achichem. Yared, there's the root for to go down, to bring your brother down with you, right? That's the shorish right there. Achichem, your brother. It's actually more like y'all's brother. Hakaton, the little one. Katon means the little or youngest one. Itkem, with you. Lo tosifun, no more again. This is a repeating kind of a word. Yasaf. To add or to increase or continue to do something. So it says, you will not again. Lo tosifun, that's you will not repeat. Lierot, to see my face. So his face, he says, I will not permit you to see me again if you don't have your younger brother with you. He's really putting the high pressure, he's got him in a pressure cooker, so to speak, here. And it came to pass when they came up unto their father, we told him, let me just go ahead and get the complete Jewish Bible brought up here so we can make a little more headway. We went up to your servant, my father, and told him what my Lord had said. But when our father said, go again and buy us some food, we answered, we cannot go down. Only if our younger brother is with us will we go down, because we can't see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us. And that's exactly what he told them. Verse 27. Then your servant, my father, said, does you know that my wife bore me 2 sons? The one went out from me, and I said, surely he has been torn to pieces, and I haven't seen him since. Now, if you take this one away from me too, and something happens to him, you will bring my gray hair down to Sheol, or the grave, with grief. So now if I go to your servant, my father, and the boy isn't with us, seeing how his heart is bound up with the boy's heart, when he sees the boy isn't with us, he will die. And your servants will bring the gray hair of your father, your servant, our father, down to Sheol in grief. For your servant himself guaranteed his safety. And I said, if I fail to bring him to you, then I will bear the blame before my father forever. There are so many things here that are pointing to the story of Messiah Yeshua. Remember when they executed him, they said, this sin will be upon us and our children forever, not on anybody else. It's the same kind of words that he used, that Judah used with his father here. So he says, I'm at fault. I'm going to bear the iniquity for my brother's demise. And so the priesthood, who was involved in this thing happening with Yeshua in the temple, that was a part of the same scenario. That was like the story of Joseph was the forerunner for Yeshua in his final days. And the whole story is actually the whole story of Yeshua. I mean, all the way through. But if you've read a lot of the New Testament and know it very well, you'll see it in here. Verse 33, therefore I beg you, let your servant stay as a slave to my Lord instead of the boy. Let the boy go up with his brothers. For how can I go up to my father if the boy isn't with me? I couldn't bear to see my father so overwhelmed by anguish. He's talking about God the Father here with Yeshua. How can I bear to go up? The priest is saying, how can I operate in my office if the boy isn't with us? And so what happened to the boy? Well, he turned him over to the Romans to be executed. So really interesting. Chapter 45, at last Joseph could no longer control his feelings in front of the attendants. And he cried, get everybody away from me. So no one else was with him when Joseph revealed to his brothers who he was. He wept aloud, and the Egyptians heard, and Pharaoh's household heard. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is it true that my father is still alive? His brothers couldn't answer him. They were so dumbfounded at seeing him. Keep in mind that Joseph would have been clean-shaven. He would have had the ruler's pigtail, I guess you could call it, on the side of his head. That's why the rulers wore their hair in like a pigtail hung off to the side or on the back. Suppose it shows the rank. And so they didn't recognize him because they didn't expect him to be without a beard, and they didn't expect him to have the ruler's tail on his head and to be dressed with the rulership's clothing. How could they have guessed? There's no way they could have guessed that this was their brother.
Yeah, Judah said, you're like Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Well, check it out what he said.
The handheld.
I said, well, Judah mentioned that he's like Pharaoh.
Mm-hmm. My daughter-in-law came home from California after about 3 or 4 years away, and I hadn't seen her. And we were having our services in a 2-story house. I was upstairs getting ready, and somebody rang the doorbell, so I came down, opened the door. I said, come on in, and I didn't recognize her. She had changed a lot in the time she was gone, and I just didn't imagine her. And I thought when I saw her, she sure looks like my daughter. And I can imagine those thoughts going through these brothers' minds when they saw Joseph. Man, he sure looks like our brother. But they wouldn't dare breach that question with him. So, but he says, I am Joseph, your brother, who you sold into Egypt. But don't be sad that you sold me into slavery here, or angry at yourselves, because it was God who sent me ahead of you to preserve your lives. The famine has been over the land for the last 2 years, and for yet another 5 years there will be neither plowing or harvest. God sent me ahead of you to ensure that you will have descendants on the earth to save your lives in a great deliverance. So it was not you who sent me here, but God, and he has made me the father to Pharaoh, and the Lord of all of his household, and ruler over the whole land of Egypt. Hurry, go up to my father and tell him, here is what your son Joseph says. God has made me Lord of all of Egypt. Come down to me. Don't delay. You will live in the land of Goshen and be near me. You and your children, your grandchildren, flocks, herds, everything you own. I will provide for you there so that you won't become poverty-stricken. you or your household and all that you have, because 5 years of famine are yet to come. Here your own eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin, that it is my own mouth speaking to you. Tell my father how honored I am in Egypt and everything you have seen, and quickly bring my father down here. Then he embraced his brother Benjamin and wept. Benjamin wept on his neck.
Mm-hmm.
And he kissed all of his brothers and wept on them. He socked them all.
Sucked him.
And he kissed all of his brothers and wept on them. After that, his brothers talked with him. And then it says, the report has reached Pharaoh's house. Joseph's brothers have come. And Pharaoh and his servants were pleased. Pharaoh said to Joseph, tell your brothers, here is what you are to do. Load up your animals, go to the land of Canaan, take your father and your families, and come back to me. And I will give you good property in Egypt, and you will eat the fat of the land. Moreover, and this is an order, do this. Take wagons from the land of Egypt to carry your little ones and your wives, and bring your father and come. Don't worry. Block that out. Don't worry about your stuff, because everything good in the land of Egypt is yours.
Mm-hmm.
The sons of Israel acted accordingly, and Joseph gave them wagons as Pharaoh had ordered, gave them provisions for their journey. To each of them he gave 7 new clothes. But to Benjamin he gave 7.5 pounds of silver, 5 sets of new clothes. Likewise to his father he sent 10 donkeys loaded with the finest goods of Egypt that Egypt produced, as well as 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, food for his father to eat on the return journey. Thus he sent his brothers on their way, and they left, and he said to them, don't quarrel among yourselves while you're traveling. So he knew them pretty well, huh? So they went up out of Egypt and entered the land of Canaan and came to Yaakov their father. They told him, Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over the whole land of Egypt. He was stunned at the news. He couldn't believe them. So they reported to him everything Joseph had said to them, but it was only when he saw the wagons which Joseph had sent to carry him that the spirit of Yaakov, their father, began to revive. What a touching scene.
My book says he passed out.
And then Israel said, enough, my son Joseph is still alive. I must go see him before I die. What an awesome story. Israel took everything he owned with him on his journey. He arrived in Beersheba and offered sacrifices to the God of his father Isaac. And in a vision at night, God called Israel. Yaakov, Yaakov, he answered. Here hineni. He said, I am God, the God of your father. Don't be afraid to go down to Egypt. It is there that I will make you into a great nation. Not only will I go down with you to Egypt, but I will also bring you back here again after Joseph has closed your eyes. So Yaakov left Beersheba. The sons of Israel brought Yaakov their father, their little ones, their wives, and the wagons Pharaoh had sent to carry them. They took their cattle and their possessions which they had acquired in the land of Canaan and arrived in Egypt. Yaakov and all of his descendants with him, and his sons, grandsons, daughters, granddaughters, all his descendants, he brought with him into Egypt. And these are the names of the children who came into Egypt. We've got Yaakov. We went too far. Yaakov and his sons, Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, and the sons of Reuben, Hanok, Palu, Hetzron, and Carmi. The sons of Shimon, Yemuel, Yamin, Odad, Yakin, Zochar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. The sons of Levi were Gershon. I'm looking at something here. Okay. The sons of Levi were Gershom, Kahat, and Merari. You know what Merari means?
No.
Bitter. You know, like the herbs that we use at Passover, maror.
The bitter herbs?
Uh-huh. And
Merari. Huh.
the sons of Yehuda were Onan, Shelah, Peretz, and Zerach. But and Onan died in the land of Canaan. The sons of Peretz were Hetzron and Hamul. Now that's the sons of Jehuda. Remember, and Onan died, and he didn't give the woman to the youngest one because he didn't want to have another son die on him.
So she dressed herself as a harlot. Yeah. She had twins.
Mm-hmm. The sons of Peretz were Hetzron and Hamul. The sons of Yizakar were Tola, Puvah, Yov, and Shimron. And Yov is the exact same spelling as the book of Job. The sons of Zebulun were Zered, Elon, and Yachleel. These are the children of Leah, whom she bore to Yaakov in Padan Aram, with his daughter Dinah. In sum, his sons and daughters numbered 33. The sons of Gad, Ziphion, Hagi, Shuni, Etzban, and Eri, Arodi, and Areli. The sons of Asher were Yimna, Yishva, Yishvi, Bria, and their sister Sarach. The sons, and by the way, Sarach is the same as Sarah's name before she became pregnant. She was called Sarah. And let's see here. Lost my place. Where's Sarach at?
Second line.
What?
Second line to the left.
I don't see it.
The sons of Beriah were Heber and Malchiel.
The children of Asher.
Oh, sister Sarach. Yeah, I see
Yeah.
it now. The sons of Beriah were Heber and Malchiel. Malchiel. My king, my God, God is my king. Verse 18, these were the children of Zilpah, whom Laban gave to Leah, his daughter. She bore them to Yaakov, 16 people. The sons of Rachel, Yaakov's wife, Joseph and Benjamin. To Joseph in the land of Egypt were born Manasseh and Ephraim from Osnath, the daughter of Potiphar, the priest of On, that she bore to him. The sons of Benjamin were Bela, Becher, Ashbel, Gera, Naaman, Achi, Rosh, Mupim, Hupim, and Arid. These were the sons of Rachel, were 2 in number. Thus all the people in Yaakov's family who entered Egypt were 70. Yaakov sent Yehuda ahead of him to Joseph, so that the latter might guide him on the road to Goshen, and thus they arrived in the land of Goshen. And Yosef prepared his chariot, went up to Goshen to meet Israel, his father. He presented himself to him, embraced him, and wept on his neck for a long time. Then Israel said to Joseph, how can I die? Now I can die, because I have seen your face and seen that you are still alive. Joseph said to his brothers and his father's family, I'm going to tell Pharaoh. I'll say to him, my brothers, my father's family, who were in the land of Canaan, have come to me. These men are shepherds and keepers of livestock, and they have brought their flocks and their herds and all of their possessions. Now when Pharaoh summons you and asks what is your occupation, tell him your servants have been keepers of livestock from our youth until now, both we and our ancestors. This will ensure him that you will live in the land of Goshen, for any shepherd is abhorred to the Egyptians. So, in chapter 47, bring my Bible back up. There it is. Chapter 47. Then Joseph went in and told Pharaoh, my father and brothers have come from the land of Canaan with their flocks, livestock, and all their possessions. Right now they are in the land of Goshen. He took 5 of his brothers and presented them to Pharaoh. Pharaoh said to his brothers, what is your occupation? And they answered Pharaoh, your servants are shepherds, both we and our ancestors, and added, we have come to live in the land because in the land of Canaan there is no place to pasture your servants' flocks. The famine is so severe there. Therefore, please let your servants live in the land of Goshen. Pharaoh said to Joseph, your father and brothers have come to you, and the land of Egypt lies before you. Have your father and brothers lived on the best property in the country. Let them live in the land of Goshen. Moreover, if you know that some of them are particularly competent, put them in charge of my livestock. Pharaoh knows a good thing when he sees it, doesn't he? Joseph then brought in Yaakov, his father, and presented him to Pharaoh, and Yaakov blessed Pharaoh. Pharaoh asked Yaakov, how old are you? And Yaakov replied, the time of my stay on this earth has been 130 years. They have been few and difficult, fewer than the years my ancestors lived. And then Yaakov blessed Pharaoh and left his presence. Joseph found a place for his father and brothers and gave them property in the land of Egypt, in the best region of the country, in the land of Ramses, as Pharaoh had ordered. Joseph provided food for his father and his brothers and all of his father's household, taking full care of even the youngest. There was no food anywhere, for the famine was very severe, so that both Egypt and Canaan grew weak from hunger. Joseph collected all the money there was in Egypt and Canaan in exchange for the grain they bought. And put the money in Pharaoh's treasury. When all the money in Egypt had been spent, and likewise in Canaan, all the Egyptians approached Joseph and said, give us something to eat even though we have no money. Why should we die before your eyes? Joseph replied, give me your livestock. If you don't have money, I will give you food in exchange for your livestock. So they brought Joseph their livestock, and Joseph gave them food in exchange for their horses, flocks, cattle, and donkeys. All that year he provided them with food in exchange for all of their livestock. When that year was over, they approached Joseph again and said to him, we won't hide from my lord that all of our money is spent, and the herds of livestock belong to my lord. We have nothing left, as my lord can see, but our bodies and our land. Why should we die before your eyes, both we and our land? Buy us and our land for food, and we and our land will be enslaved to Pharaoh. But also give us seed to plant so that we can stay alive and not die, so that the land won't become barren. So Joseph acquired all the land in Egypt for Pharaoh, as one by one the Egyptians sold their fields, because the famine weighed on them so severely. Thus the land became the property of Pharaoh. As for the people, he reduced them to serfdom, city by city, from one end of Egypt's territory to the other. Only the priests' land he did not acquire, because the priests were entitled to provisions from Pharaoh, and they ate from what Pharaoh provided them. Therefore they did not sell their land. Then Joseph said to the people, as of today, I have acquired your land for Pharaoh. Here is seed for you to sow the land. When the harvest time comes, you are to give 20% to Pharaoh. 80% will be yours to keep for seed and to plant in the fields, as well as for your food and for that of your households and your little ones. They replied, you have saved our lives, so if it pleases my Lord, we will be Pharaoh's slaves. Joseph made it a law for the country, valid to this day, that Pharaoh should have 20%. Only the property belonging to the priest did not become Pharaoh's. And Israel lived in the land of Egypt 17 years, and they acquired possessions in it and were productive, and their numbers multiplied greatly. And that's the conclusion of this week's Torah Parashat. There were so many things that were striking me as we went, and I just wanted to go ahead and get to the end of the Parsha so I'll make sure and get through it tonight. But I saw all kinds of things. Like, for example, they gave 20% to Pharaoh, and yet they continue to increase. Well, how much more so if you give your 10% to God? Because Pharaoh, he got 20%, but God's only taking 10%. So we should always have more confidence that God will take care of us than Pharaoh. So there's a lot of...
would be a representation of our government.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Pharaoh would be like a representation of our government.
Well, it's also our flesh.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah.
Because, see, our flesh is our master. If you don't believe me, just fast for a few days and listen to your flesh scream about it.
Well, Yeshua, after he was tempted for 40 days, 40 nights, and it says he was very hungry. I think that's an understatement.
Yeah, exactly.
He said he was very hungry. I can imagine. I think that was an understatement. He had to be like really hungry.
Right.
Because they said he was very hungry.
But he disciplined himself and waited to the proper time to receive his food.
And poor Moses, he came down after 40 days and 40 nights. He didn't get to eat anything. He was too busy breaking up his 10 commandments on the people.
Did you notice that Joseph, he had all these promises from God in the form of these dreams that he had?
Yeah, all the visions.
And that his brothers and mother and father were even all going to bow down to him. But he couldn't figure out how that could possibly come to pass. Neither could the brothers. Even his father kind of, are you sure about this dream? What is this dream you had, you know? And so this is a picture, and you see him being sold into Egypt. He goes down to Egypt, becomes Potiphar's right-hand man, and really blessed and increased Potiphar in his dealings in his house. Yep. And then he worked his way to the very top of Potiphar's household. Then he got thrown in prison because his wife accused him falsely. That's what happens to us. Potiphar's wife accuses us daily. No, I didn't think you did. So we then get thrown into the dungeon, and the devil has his time with us to put us in a dungeon. And then we're coming up on a time when we're going to be put into our place to do the ministry for God in the last days. And you know that a lot of us are going to be in places of importance. And so I believe it's going to happen almost overnight in our reckoning. And that we will become trusted emissaries of God to this world and to this nation. I don't know if the tribulations that are spoken of in Revelation are going to even have an effect on us other than we'll see it.
Witness it.
Uh-huh.
I think so. I think we're going to be witnessing.
But we're going to be operating in this government at the highest levels of whatever our ability takes us to. Yeah. And just like Joseph, I believe some of us are going to be like right-hand men to the states, to the governors of states, to the governors of cities, to the governors of the nation, and that they're going to be counting on us because they know that we're blessed of God.
Well, you know, God is putting things in place, I mean, including our president and everything he's been doing.
Right. So we've got a lot of things happening right now in the American government that we don't understand, but we know God's in charge. And it's all going to work together to put us into the proper place at the right time so that we can be his servants when everything falls apart, when the whole government crumbles and turns to dust, so to speak. We'll be in places where we can be blessed and be able to bless this nation while we're at it.
But definitely Israel is having to fight from all sides right now. I think that's a huge sign.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, did you like the Bible study tonight?
Yep.
Well, I guess we will call this good for tonight then. May the Lord bless and keep you and help you to remember your studies and to add to it during the week so you'll be able to get even more out of it on Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen. Well, we will call that good for tonight. I pray that all of you will rejoin us again next Tuesday for another study in the Torah. We're going to be looking at Parsha 12, which is Vayigash, and it means and he lived, talking about Yaakov. He lived to be 147 years old, and he's still in the land of Egypt. So we'll see what happens according to his death and how that God begins to work Israel to a position of having to have his deliverance so that they'll want to leave. I mean, if they are trusted and blessed of Egypt, then why would they want to leave that place? Yeah. And that's not where God wanted them to have their inheritance. So we'll study again next week, Lord willing. And
I thought it was interesting when Joseph tells his brothers not to argue. Oh, we're still on? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we were off. No. When he's getting on to his brothers not to argue because he knew their ways.
Yeah.
That's exactly what the ways of the people were when they came out of Egypt with Moses.
Right. Yeah, he knew them pretty well, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Well, come back and join us again next Tuesday for another Torah study. And don't forget, we also have our Sabbath services every Saturday. There's a rabbi's class at 10 a.m. where we talk about Bible issues. And then at 11, we have our morning service. And I'd love any of you that can make it over here to the ranch here in Manor, we'd love to have you come and enjoy the Sabbath with us. So plan to come sometime and enjoy the Sabbath together. And in the meantime, I pray that God will continue to enrich you in your studies and help you to learn Hebrew so you can get even better at it in the name of the Lord and to become a servant of His.
Amen.
Shalom, everybody, and I guess we'll see you until next time. Shalom, shalom.
And held. Thank you for joining us for another delightful teaching from Rabbi David Hall. And we hope to see you again as he was welcoming you to our regular Shabbat services, which are Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. for Bible's Issues class, followed by our 11 a.m. main service. And in the intermediate, we are going to have a Hanukkah party to celebrate the closing of Hanukkah tomorrow at 7 p.m. You're most welcome to come with a likeness of heart and rejoice before Yahweh for the miracles He has bestowed upon us in the history of our past and even now. And that He's given us Yeshua, Messiah, to bring us light into the temple of the body and to bring forth the truth throughout the world. And may all be saved. And so we hope to see you again. And we'll catch you later. Shalom, shalom.